Hello, divas, diamonds, and dolls. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Femininity with Momma Gail. Today, let's talk about the different types of upbringing. You do know that everybody is not brought up the same way. So, gentlemen, you may be dating a gentleman who is just out. He's been raised where he didn't have any type of curfew, he didn't have any type of restrictions, he didn't have the discipline and the things of the way that you may have been raised, the things that he thinks that it's okay to say, he thinks that it's okay to do things that you don't approve of. You've already passed the dating phase, you're in a relationship, and now these things are starting to come out. But this is one of the reasons why in my talks, when I talk about dating, now that you have his attention is another one of my videos. When you have that brother's attention in the beginning, when you are dating him, this is the time to get all the conversation that you need. We ask silly questions like, are you a psychopath? What type of medications do you take? How is your relationship with your mother? Things of that nature. These are things that should be observed. You ask someone who's on medication the first date, like really they're going to tell you that they're on medication? Well, anywho, let's get to what I'm talking about. You should ask a gentleman when you're talking about family and things of that nature. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing. And he'll tell you, I really didn't have any rules or anything. I just did me. My mother and my father, they weren't strict. They allowed me to do whatever I want to do, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. So that you'll understand in the relationship as you're progressing forward why he feels comfortable coming into a house that you and him now share apartment. You moved in together, and he's coming in 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Now you have a problem. And you feel like that's disrespectful, because where is a man at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning except for getting in trouble or between some legs? What is there to do 3-4 o'clock in the morning? The bars are closed. So where is he? Now his upbringing, he's always been out. He's never had a curfew. So to come in 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and you and him have never had this conversation, he don't feel like it's a problem. Now you ready to jump in his face. Where you been? You want to smell him to see what he smells like. You're arguing and things of that nature, instead of waiting like the feminine lady that you are until the next day. Have the conversation with him. It makes me feel uncomfortable when you come into the house 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is why. Help him to understand. If he's never had a curfew, he's not going to have you in his face controlling him and telling him he can't come in the house 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when he's a grown man. Instead of you respectfully having a conversation with him and helping him to understand things from your perspective. Because from the way that he sees things from his perspective, he's right. He's not married to you. He can come home whenever he wants to in his mind. But being a feminine woman, flowing in your feminine energy, you can speak out of the sweetness, out of the gentleness, and allow him to comprehend and understand why you feel uncomfortable. Not because Mama Nim said that he's between legs if he's out at 3 o'clock in the morning. But to have him to know that you feel safe when he's home. You feel this way, and allow him to express how he feels. Suppose this is the only way that he has ever known to process things. 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning when it's quiet, and he needs to go to a park, the mountains, what's ever near you, close to you, a quiet place. Sit in the car, smoke a cigar, or whatever it is. Enjoy the silence and listen. Suppose this is something that he has done since he was 14 years old. And now that he's grown, you want him to break a cycle because you're uncomfortable with what mama them said he must be out there doing. It's not fair. It's not that he's wrong. You may be wrong in your upbringing, but you have to communicate and talk about these things, and vice versa. You may have been raised a certain way. That big mama and them told you some things that's not right. Because your mama, just like my mama, wasn't always right about everything that she told me. And you cannot bring that into your relationship without communication. Feminine woman, your feminine energy, his masculine energy is not going to bring perfection into a relationship. You have to sit and talk and connect and not just assume and think that you don't like the way that he was raised. But he's a good guy, a good man. You wouldn't have gotten this far in the relationship if you didn't see the goodness, the masculinity, the masculine energy that drew you in. It's just some things that need to be communicated. It doesn't mean that he's wrong. And it's not just that. Even like the way the relationship that he has with his family. He may come into your family thinking that it's okay for him to curse around your mother, say things in front of your elderly grandparents, things of that nature that you would never say, and oh, you're appalled. But you never took the time to communicate and talk to him. This is the type of conservative family that I have. You cannot say certain things around them. You introduce him without preparing him for the difference in the way that the only way that he may know to communicate. And then you're bothered. And you think that he's wrong. But this is all he's ever known. And it's not just him. You're feminine. You're cleaned up and sweet and cute now. But if you have not always been who you are, there are some things in you that if he presents you and brings you before his friends, family, some things you may do in the house that he doesn't see as being the correct way to do things. For instance, you need an example. If you wash your dishes and you take the dishes and you put them in the dish rack after you wash them, and when they dry, you don't get up immediately and put the dishes away in the cabinet. But he's used to, after the dishes are washed and they are dried, towel dry them, let them dry for about an hour, and then put them away. You're a problem because you're not doing things the way that he was raised for them to be done. You're wrong in the way that you do things, the way that you talk to him. You may be loud and boisterous even though you're feminine. And he may not see that as you being respectful. Because you speak to him like you talk to everybody else. Even though you know how to be a lady. Even though you float in feminine energy. It's just that his feelings or the way that you say certain things, he takes out of content. He takes it in a way that you didn't mean for it to reach him. Conversation. The upbringing, when it's different, you have to conversate. And I may not have touched and tapped in on that thing, that difference in the upbringing, but I made this video for you to see that sometimes you let go of good men. They let go of good women because you don't take the time to communicate and see why it is that he does the things that he do, or why it is that you do the things, and be willing to compromise, work together, talk things out without having to force. If you're gonna live in my house, this is the way we gonna do things. Controlling him, that's not going to work. So there's a difference in the way that we are raised, a difference in our upbringing. And if he is worth the investment of the time that you have already put in, be worth or invest a little more in him, in conversation, and letting him know this is why I feel the way that I feel when you do such and such a, or this is how it makes me feel. And it would please me if you would please try to see things from my perspective, respect my feelings, and let him share with you. Oh, well, this is all I know. This is all I've known. If you don't talk and communicate, he's never going to understand. And vice versa. This is Femininity with Momma Gail. Have a blessed and prosperous day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.